shot! Dishes off to Jones, kicks it out to Aaron Martin, 4 seconds. Oh my goodness! He makes the three.
Are you kidding me, Aaron Martin?
Well, welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Roger Alcock. The men's basketball team, they're back on top of the Crossroads League standings after an impressive win against the Foresters of Huntington University. The Wildcats were looking to bounce back from their first and only loss of the season earlier against Marian University. Well, the first half, take a look at some action as Lane Mahurin gets fed inside. Here is Nate Bubash coming off the bench. Had a huge game off the bench, did Nate Bubash. Here he gets the offensive rebound and the putback. Nate with the double-double. DJ Bettinger with the nice drive, the high layup goes for DJ. And then, of course, Bob Peters comes off the bench, had a huge game off the bench, got the layup, and then popped this three-point basket there. Great night for Bob. He led the way with 20 points. There's a putback on that offensive rebound from Lane Mahurin. Johnny Marlin with the pull-up jumper off the dribble. Then really a tough drive and a basket here, Bob Peters with 2 more. The Wildcats really took the game over in the second half as DJ Bettinger started off a 24-0 run. There you saw Lane Mahurin inside. Johnny Marlin with the drive and the high arcing layup there. The Wildcats were just on fire. Once again, Lane gets that basket inside, the assist from Zach Vandewater. Marlin with the pull-up jumper once again. 5 players in double figures for Indiana West. And then, of course, towards the tail end of the ball game, biggest lead of the ball game as a couple threes there for the big guy. And the Wildcats come away with the big win. They blow out the Foresters in this one, 92-53, with some huge shooting in the second half. As I mentioned, 5 Wildcats finished in double digits on the night. Bob Peters led the way with 20 points. Coming off the bench, Johnny Marlin had 15 points. Nate Bubash, he had the double-double tonight. Bettinger and Mahurin also in double-digit scoring. Now the men's team, they do retain the number 1 ranking on the season. They're 6-1 in the year 16-1 overall and 4-1 in conference play. They host the Cougars of Mount Vernon Nazarene next, January the 10th, 3 o'clock in Lucky Arena. And so now we welcome the head coach of the Wildcats in, Coach Greg Tonigal. And Coach, thanks for coming on in. And well, you guys shot the lights out against Huntington, a team that was, 12-4? They were really, Huntington had a lot to play for in this ball game, I felt.
It was good to be home. I think we've been 5 weeks, something like 35 days since we had played at home. Mm-hmm. And the friendly confines of Lucky were good to us. And when you make shots like that, it helps in so many areas. Our defense was solid. We got a lot of contributions from a lot of different guys, as you talked about earlier. Just good all-around game to start the year off.
I thought another key in this game was you took care of the basketball. Not few turnovers. Some of those came late, but really took care of the basketball very well. Moved the ball well.
Yeah, we had 1 turnover at half, and I forget it was late in the game. We had 3. I think it was like 7 or 8 minutes to go. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, when we take care of it like that, we're going to get good shots. We're going to be that much more efficient offensively. So that's a credit to our guards. All of our guards can handle it. It's not just Johnny. DJ can handle it. Bob handles it well. Even Zach Vandewater, he's an elite shooter, elite defender. He's still a good ball handler.
Well, and your guards are doing great. But you mentioned Zach, Lane, Nate, your post players. They move the ball. They pass the ball well, but they do it efficiently.
Yeah, we've got skilled guys, and that's. I think our coaches have done a great job recruiting guys who are versatile. They can play on the perimeter, they can go in the post, they can screen. So it gives us option within our motion to run a lot of different things. We don't become stagnant, and hopefully we're not too predictable. That we've got a lot of guys that can do a lot of things.
What about defensively right now with this team? Are you happy with where they're at? Because against Huntington, specifically in that second half, I don't ever remember a 24-0 run. I don't ever remember that. It was a 29-1 run. Now, admittedly, I think they even missed a layup or two, but they didn't even get a lot of good looks.
It's funny. You can look at that 2 ways. That's an explosive offensive run, or it's a really good job of locking down.
Yeah.
And what we got was both. I mean, you go back to Saturday's game versus Marian, I couldn't have been more disappointed in our defense. Mm-hmm. Very pleased the other night. So what we need out of this group is that just needs to be the effort every single night, because what we're learning, and this is relatively new, is when you're on top, everybody's gunning for you.
Yeah.
No matter who you play, you're going to get their best game. And that's a tough position to be in. I mean, that's mentally exhausting. It takes a lot of mental focus, a lot of mental energy to every single day be ready to give your best because you're going to get everybody else's best. So, yeah, I think Huntington was a step forward in that direction.
You know, in this game, we've seen it before, the bench. Of course, Bob Peters, I think we kind of come to expect big performances from him. Nate Bubasha was huge in this game. I mean, he scored, double digits. He had 14 points, but the 10 rebounds. There you see Bob, how he was explosive in this ball game. But we didn't see that against Marion. We did see it against Huntington.
Yeah, I thought our bench was incredible, and like you said, those two guys, and they did it in different ways. Nate's just blue collar hard work.
Yeah.
He really battled. Bob, got his stroke going again, and he can score like that off the bench. I mean, we didn't have Jacob Johnson.
Right.
A lot of people weren't talking about that. He had the flu, and so we were a man down. But I love when guys step up in the absence of somebody.
Well, and Aaron Murray had 7 rebounds coming off the bench for. He did, doesn't have to score, but 7 rebounds. He had a couple block shots. So he can contribute in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, Murray's done a great job. I'm incredibly proud of how far he's come, and it's simply you play hard. Like if you watch his individual clips, he plays hard on offense by just sprinting out and screening for somebody. Then he runs the floor, and then he's trying to get in position to rebound the basketball. And I think he's going to continue to get better, and he's going to continue to help us.
That's the thing with Aaron. He's got a lot more room to grow and a huge upside, and a couple of years yet to develop.
If you work hard and you're unselfish, you're going to fit our program. I don't care if you can't walk and chew gum. If you can do those two things, you're going to find a way to make an impact.
All right, so a great win against Huntington. Things were rolling. What a great night. We're going to turn back the clock for a second because the producers tell me we have to talk a little bit.
Who's in charge of this show?
Have to talk a little bit about Marion and I don't know what it is about going down there. It's always a tough place to play. It's a tough place. I think it's a gym that's tough to shoot in. And the fact is that even though you guys played poorly in this game, you still had your chances.
We did. They outplayed us. Let me just give them credit right off the bat. I thought they really guarded us well. I thought offensively they really took it to us. I didn't think we guarded as a team or as a unit, but we still had opportunities. We didn't shoot the ball well. We had a lot of go in and out. But, when we needed to make plays, we weren't able to do it.
And, seems like there are those games where, against Huntington, it seemed like, he shot the ball so well, those kind of things. That's a 3 from Zach that's, about as in and then rolls out as you can have. And you just find those kind of things. And they kind of snowball on themselves every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're not always going to make shots on the road, but what you need to do is depend on and fall back on your defense. And unfortunately, we didn't do that. And if you want to be an elite team, you got to be able to do that. You got to fall back on that defense. And I thought it was a little bit absent Saturday.
Well, and I don't know where I heard it, but I always remembered coaches talking about, if you lose a ball game, you lost one game. Don't let it beat you twice. And so don't let Marion beat you twice and have a hangover going into Huntington. And I thought that's what I was really pleased to see against Huntington. It's like that one's over. It was disappointing because it's the first loss of the season. I didn't see any kind of hangover into the Huntington game.
It's like we told our guys, like, listen, life's not about not hitting any bumps. Like, you're just going to run into bumps along the way. You're going to face adversity, but it's about how you respond. And so I'll tell you what, Tuesday couldn't come fast enough for us. And our guys. I mean, they weren't hanging their heads. They had this look like, all right, we let one go. Let's get it back Tuesday night. And so for them to come out and play like they did, I think says a lot about the character of this team. I mean, to be honest, there wasn't any yelling or screaming in the locker room. It was, look, I'm disappointed, but I know you're disappointed. And when I looked in that locker room and saw disappointment on their faces, I knew they were going to correct it. And we had a good day of practice on Monday.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks for coming on in. Congratulations on the win, and good luck against Mount Vernon Nazarene next game.
Thanks, Raj.
All right. Well, when we come back, we'll talk about some women's basketball action as we catch up with the head coach of the Wildcats, Steve Brooks. I'll be right after this. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. Now, the Lady Wildcat, the basketball team, is having another outstanding season, currently ranked number 6 in the country. Wednesday night, the ladies traveled to Huntington to take on the Foresters. Now, Huntington came to the game ranked number 18 in the country, so an outstanding Crossroads League matchup. The Wildcat defense was on point here in the first half of this ball game. They led the Foresters throughout the first half and held them to only 18 points. Wildcats scored the first 9 points of the contest, and Huntington was held scoreless the first 7 minutes. Now the Foresters battled back to take the lead actually in the first half before the Wildcats created another run and took the lead back going into the half. Wildcats started hot in the second half, again scoring the first 9 points of the half. Wildcats would never relinquish the lead, and they'd come out on top. The Wildcats finished the game with 18 assists and won the rebounding battle by a 37-29 margin. Katrina Blackmon had 6 rebounds, and of course half the team assists, 9 assists for Katrina Blackmon. The women's team prevailed 55-49 in this one, and they have now won 4 consecutive ball games. Erica Isham led all scorers with 17 points. She was 7 of 8 from the floor. Tennille Krebs with 13 points. Chelsea Winter added 11. The Lady Wildcats improved to 14-3 on the season and remain undefeated in the Crossroads League. They are now 5-0. While the women will travel to Mount Vernon Nazarene next on January the 10th. Well, joining me now is the head coach of the Lady Wildcat basketball team, Steve Brooks. Coach, thanks for coming on in. And it's kind of, that time of year where we really just dive right in the middle of conference play. And at this point, you guys sit all alone in the conference, standing on top. So that's a good place to be, but you kind of have that target on your back. You're the team that's being hunted, and but you're playing some pretty good basketball at times to get you that spot.
Right. We would rather be the hunted right now than being the hunted. One of our goals was that we would come out of the first 3 conference games in that little section in November where we were at least tied for the conference lead, and then take care of business. And we've had a couple of really good games and given ourselves a chance to be alone atop the league. But you got to come ready to play every night in this league. So
wanted to talk just briefly about, we'll get back to Huntington, but your game against Marion, that was a big matchup, a battle for the top spot in the conference. You guys played really well in that one. We're going to talk to Katrina Blackmon later in the show. She had an outstanding ball game, but that was a big win under those kind of circumstances where it's, no one's here on campus, all that kind of stuff. But your team really responded well to that.
Yeah, they came out, they competed. I think they really kind of set the tone for that game with how they competed earlier in the week against Cumberland's, who was nationally ranked Division I NAIA team over at Taylor, and then and the way they played against Rochester. It kind of set the tone for what they wanted to try to do on Saturday. And we got out of the blocks in a hurry on Saturday and really played well defensively. And as you mentioned, Katrina had a really strong game all the way around. And that gave us the opportunity to beat a very, very good Marianne team.
Talking, getting back to the Huntington game, and always a tough place to play up at Huntington, a well-coached team. But it was a game of streaks, a game of runs. You jump out to a big lead, and then they'd come back on you. You never really trailed in the second half. You always had a lead, but you never got to a spot where you had taken the game.
I think we got up by 11 at one point, and not that anybody was comfortable, but we got up by 11. And then, like you said, our turnovers were really critical in last night's game. We just turned the ball over at inopportune times, and they were able to turn those turnovers into scores. I think they scored 19 points off of our 18 turnovers. And, when you give a team, they shot 55 shots in the game to our,
46.
46. And that discrepancy, if you look, is not a rebounding discrepancy. We out-rebounded them. It was the turnovers, and we created offense for them, and that really made the game closer than what we would have liked.
A big impact in the second half, especially Erica Isham. She had 17 points in this ball game. But I thought, as we take a look at some highlights of Erica working here in the second half, you guys did a great job of getting her the ball when she was in good position.
Yeah, we made some really good reads. Katrina had another one of those games where
9 assists.
Yeah, she dominated the game in the second half without scoring points because of that kind of a play right there, where she saw Erica on the inside and she just, she created layups because of her ability to penetrate and make plays. So that right there is an outstanding play. I mean, we got that, as you could see, 3 or 4 times. And when Katrina's attacking like that, it really makes a big difference for us.
They try to pressure you a little bit, but then you again have Katrina in the middle of the floor who can make things happen.
She's just a really good player. She's very instinctual and she can pass. She sees things just like that. That's just great basketball.
Those are pretty good high percentage shots right there, aren't they?
Well, but the ball movement, the passing, seeing the floor, getting the ball to the middle, to the wing, and back over. That's the kind of thing we really like, and that's the kind of team we can be, and hopefully we'll see more of that and less of the turnovers in the future.
Well, so you move on from this ball game now, getting back on the road to take on Mount Vernon Nazarene, the Cougars, who are struggling a little bit right now, but still, no one wants to beat the Wildcats more than anybody else in the conference. You got that target. You cannot take them lightly. You've got to be ready to go in Saturday and play them.
No, I mean, we've proven that, like at Georgetown, we were up 14 and then come out and we fall asleep and they beat us. I mean, we've proven that if we don't show up and compete and play, we can beat Indiana. IU Southeast did it to us. It's, that's going to be a battle that we're going to fight. Hopefully these guys, especially our seniors, will not allow the team to come in and sleepwalk. Mount Vernon's struggling a little bit because their post kid that was freshman made all conference last year as a freshman, Biddleman, has been hurt. I think she only played 8 minutes last night in the game against Taylor and didn't score a point. So if she's not playing or not up to 100% for them, that really does influence what they do and how they do it. And I haven't watched a lot of the Taylor game, but I've seen enough to know that that was a major factor in the way the game turned out.
All right. Well, Coach, congratulations on the big wins, and best luck to you guys on Saturday.
Thank you.
All right. Well, when we come back, we'll sit down with women's basketball player Katrina Blackmon. We'll talk about her recent Crossroads League Player of the Week honors. That's ahead next on Wildcat Week. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. Senior Katrina Blackmon is playing a big role in the success of the Lady Wildcat basketball team this season. She was recently named the Crossroads League Player of the Week, and in that time, Katrina led the Lady Wildcats to a 3-0 mark, averaged 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists in those 3 ball games. She joins us down in the studio to talk about the Wildcats and how the season is going. So, Katrina, good to have you here. Now, what most people don't know is you're a fixture here at Wildcat Week. Maybe not in this seat, but
behind the camera.
Behind the camera. In fact, didn't you just jump from behind the camera to join us here right now?
Yep, that's why Coach Brooks had so many good things to say about me.
That's right. Talking a little bit about the non-basketball side for a second. You're a media communications major, so you're a natural in front of the camera. You gotta have. Well, you have fun with it.
Yeah, I have fun in front of the camera. Yeah. Home videos, my mom always recorded me, so that's where the practice began.
And you've done some features for this show and things like that.
Yeah.
And once again this year, in a couple weeks, you will be a featured star on the IW telesale.
Yeah, that's always a good time. You're always laughing at me.
Well, it's a good time. Let's talk about basketball a little bit here. Player of the Week honors, those are great. But obviously playing for Coach Brooks, it's a team concept first. Those individual honors come, but they're not really highlighted or profiled or sought out. But it really is a team concept, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Coach doesn't dwell too much on things like that. I wouldn't have found out, honestly, if I didn't get a tweet about it. So that's how I found out about receiving that honor. But we definitely preach a lot about the team. It's about the team. It's not about the individual at all. And
one of the huge team concepts here is defense. You have to play defense to see the floor. And there are times this season you guys have shown to be a pretty good defensive team.
Yeah, when we come out and we focus on our defense, our offense comes naturally to us. So by us being a defensive mindset team, that's how we win our games, because teams will come in averaging 80 points or whatever, but against us, our goal is to keep a team under 50. So that's what we try to do.
Kept Huntington under 50 the other night at 49 points a game. You do that, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. Well, let's talk about Player of the Week honors a little bit. We're going to take a look at some highlights here in a second against Marion. This was a huge game against Marion. It was a big matchup. They came in tied with you guys at top spot in the conference, but I think in that ball game you scored 20 points. But what we saw earlier is your ability to move the basketball a little bit. But I guess there's times if they need you to score, you can do that. But you like to move the ball. You like to pass the ball as well.
I do. I really enjoy passing the ball. I think it's just as important as getting the points in the game. But honestly, whatever the other team's going to give me that game, that's what I'll take. So.
A little bit of high-low action there. And the key is you have a lot of confidence in your teammates. If you find them, they're going to hit it.
Definitely. We spend a lot of time together practicing off the court, on the court. So I have confidence in my teammates. It's very important that they understand that, to have confidence in themselves as well.
That's a really nice play there. You got the rebound, get the outlet, but running the floor is very important. You got down there and you get the layup opportunity.
That's something we've done a lot different than teams in the past, is run the floor a lot more this year.
Well, that's, I think, a little bit indicative of your depth a little bit. You guys do run a little bit more, and you can go a lot deeper in that bench.
Yeah, because you're going to get about, I'd say the first 5 will get about 5 minutes, and then we know our second group is going to come in and pick up the intensity. So why not go out and play as hard as you can?
Now, in this game in particular, when you had the 20 points, was this a game where you kind of had just a little more confidence, or you just kind of felt like, get me the ball because I know I can score against these guys?
I don't necessarily feel like get me the ball because I know I can score. Honestly, whatever the defense gives me, I just read it and I take it. That's why sometimes I'm able to dish it at the last second for a holler. Did I just hit a jump shot?
You did. That was about an 18-foot jumper right there. What's going on?
I don't know.
Have you hit a 3 yet this year?
Yeah,
I thought you did.
I hit 3 threes, actually.
And who's counting, though?
I did. I was proud of it.
So, well, anyways, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that Player of the Week honors. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the fact that, you're a local kid. You're a local girl at Marion. Sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to go. In fact, you went away for school. You came back. But that transition's been pretty good. I mean, it's been good to be in front of your family and friends here at home. And IW is kind of a home away from home for you, even though it's just down the street.
It definitely is. I talk to the underclassmen a lot about making sure they take every second of this time that they have here, and they just let it sink in, because I feel cheated. Like, I wish I would have came here fresh out of high school, honestly. I wish that Indiana Wesleyan was preached a lot more at Marion High School. I mean, I'm thankful for the experience and things that I had at Wright State and things like that, but this program and just this school in general has been a blessing. I get to play in front of my hometown, so that's awesome as well, because I still get to represent Marion, so I'm loving it.
Well, it's been an outstanding season, Katrina, not only for you, but for the team, and we're looking for a lot more fun the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. All right, well, that's all we have for you this week. If you have any comments or suggestions about the show, we'd like to hear from you. Write us here at the station, WIW-TV, 4201 South Washington Street, Marion, Indiana, 46953. You can visit our website, WIWTV.com. You can watch past episodes. Connect with us online at WIWTV.com. Well, we look forward to being back with you next week. So for all of us here, thanks for watching Wildcat Week.